Murder waits in every corner of the darkness of our hearts, waiting to pounce like a wild tiger on its unexpected victim. My name is Alice. I moved to St. Paul, Minnesota. I had a lot of hopes for my life and future. Some around me would say I could have been very successful with my life, but my life would take a horrible, twisted turn. I recall the event that led me to meet Ray. A group of my girlfriends had pressured me into going to some party. Alice, you have to come. I don't know, Jane. I really should focus on my studies. Alice, you only live once. That college degree can wait. I reluctantly agreed to go to this party. We all piled up in Jane's car, and we began to head to the party. Grace, who was a mutual friend of mine and Jane's, turned to us and said, I wonder if there are going to be any hot boys at this party. I rolled my eyes because I didn't want to focus on boys or parties. I wanted to get my degree in computer science. I wanted to go somewhere with my life. We got to the party and we all walked inside together. Right away, Grace and Jane went racing over to a group of boys, leaving me behind. I heard a male voice right behind me. Hey, I'm Ray. He said it was such an innocent way that I turned to him and told him my name. We got to talking about anything and everything. We found that we both had a lot in common. We exchanged numbers. I liked Ray. He was smart, cute, and funny. He had pretty much anything and everything I'd want in a man. It was a week later that Ray messaged me. He invited me out for some coffee and donuts. I agreed to go with him. When we met up, we ordered our coffee and a few donuts and we sat down. At this point, I started to like Ray, and after that meeting, we hung out even more. My feelings began to blossom even more. Some would say I fell head over heels in love with Ray, right then and there. I wanted our relationship to go further than just being friends, and I even voiced it a few times. But he said he wasn't ready for a long-term relationship. At first, I respected that because I knew deep down I needed to focus on my degree. A month later, Ray introduced me to his new girlfriend named Jamie. I acted happy for them. I even put on a fake smile, but deep down inside, I was filled with a lot of rage and sadness. Jamie and I are going to this party, and I wanted to invite you as well. Ray had the nerve to invite me to a party with his girlfriend? As much as my temper was boiling, I had to play it off and said, I'd love to go. Awesome. We'll meet you there at 7. We said our goodbyes and I went home. I slammed my front door out of anger. I could feel my chest heaving in and out. I could not calm down. How could he betray me like that? I grabbed my sofa pillow and started screaming in it. After my meltdown, I managed to calm down. I went into my room to pick out the clothes I would wear for the party. Then I did my makeup and hair. I wanted to show Ray what he would be missing out on, and hopefully this would make him regret his decision. I finished getting ready. I headed out the door at 6:30. When I arrived at the party, I could see groups of people walking into the house. I parked my car and began to walk toward the house. I could feel all the eyes staring at me. And who could blame them? I looked very attractive from my normal clothing wear. Alice, over here! Ray had shouted at me while he had been standing with Jamie. She was all over him like a lovesick puppy dog. I held back my anger even more than I wanted to. I put on a fake friendly smile. We're so glad you could make it, Jamie had said in her girly, squeaky voice that made me want to scream at her. But I held back. I tried to enjoy myself at the party, but it was hard to see the man I had fallen in love with head over heels, kissing another woman. The party went on for a few hours, and after seeing those two being all over each other, I decided I would go home. When I got home, I watched some TV about murder and obsession, and maybe I shouldn't have, because it put the idea in my head. If I can't have Ray, no one can. That night, I decided all right. I would kill Ray and Jamie. I thought long and hard about how I would do it. I knew this for sure. I did not want it to be too messy, because a lesser mess meant less evidence of the crime. I began to think of a cover story I'd give the police. "Oh no, officer. The last time I saw them was at the party."
"When did you leave the party?"
"I left at 9 p.m. and they stayed." To me, this would be the perfect alibi, since there had been so many people at that party. All of them would be suspects. I decided I'd wait no longer to carry out the plan. I texted Ray and asked if we could meet up. This time, I asked if he and Jamie would come to my apartment.
"Sure, we'd love to."
"All right, see you guys soon." As I waited for the two of them to arrive, I went to the pantry and pulled out trash bags. Then I went to the storage outside my porch and grabbed a huge blue tarp and brought it into the apartment. I put the blue tarp on the ground. I would come up with an excuse as to why it was there. I played it how it would go down my head.
"Why is there a blue tarp on your floor?"
"Oh, I have a leak in the roof and I didn't want my carpet to get ruined," I would say as I smiled gently at both of them. I thought this was a perfect plan. I was sure they would believe me. I began to cook some food while I waited. This would ease their minds. I was sure about that. I would make them think, "Oh, she can't even hurt anyone, not even a fly." They thought they were just coming over for dinner. Ray and Jamie arrived an hour later. I had finished the food I had been preparing. I greeted them at the door and beckoned them to come inside. Just as I thought, they had asked about the tarp, and I told them the story that I had made up. Of course they believed me. I invited them to sit at my table, and I began to grab plates and put food on them. I gave Ray his plate first, then Jamie. I sat down with them and watched as they ate the food.
"Are you not eating?"
Ray asked me with a bit of concern. I almost laughed at the question, as if he cared about me and my feelings, but nevertheless, I reassured him that I was not quite hungry just yet. They continued eating, and soon they both felt dizzy and could barely keep their eyes open. But before Ray passed out, he looked at me with wide eyes and slightly in a panicked voice he asked me, What did you put in this?" I smiled widely. As he began to slowly pass out, I told him in a menacing voice, "Chematine. And soon you will be out like a light." After his question, he passed out. This had given me a lot of time to drag their bodies into the bathroom. After I moved the tarp, of course, in there, I decided the bathroom was the best place to carry out my plans. I even ball-gagged them. I was not interested in what that whore would say to me about her situation or anything about her begging to be let go. I sat and waited for both of them to wake up, and when they did, I smiled widely at them. I bet you both are wondering why you are here in this bathroom, tied up and gagged like the filthy little animals that you both are. I was curious to hear what Ray had to say for himself, so I ungagged him. "What the hell are you doing, you psycho?" he yelled at me, demanding to know. I shook my head at him. "How could you do that to me? I gave you my heart, my friendship, and you betrayed me." He looked at me confused. "Betrayed you? How did I betray you? All I ever did was try to be a friend to you." "You just don't get it, do you? You had to rub your little whore in my face after you rejected me. You led me on. You made me think you were in love with me." I shouted at him. "Wait,
You're doing this because I didn't want to be your boyfriend?
That's only part of it. Do you really think I would do this only because you didn't want to be my boyfriend? No. You went too far, showing off that whore right in front of me and everyone else. I could see Jamie crying. I smiled at her and gently walked over to her. I knelt to her face. "Aw, poor baby. It's okay," I mocked her. I walked out of the bathroom and grabbed a saw. I wanted them to feel the pain I was feeling. I wanted to show them how they had hurt me. I decided I would start with Jamie. I would cut off her legs first. I walked back into the bathroom. They looked at me, their eyes full of terror again. I flashed a friendly smile at both of them as I walked towards Jamie, who at this point began to struggle, but it did her no good, and I began to cut her leg off. "Alice, please stop!" I turned my attention to him and shouted, "All you had to do was love me! Why do you love her more than me? What does she have that I don't?" I did not want to hear any more reasons or answers that he would try and give me, so I ball-gagged him again and continued to kill Jamie. I let out a huge sigh of relief when she finally died. I dragged her body pieces to the tub and ran the water. Her blood began to flow down the drain. I then turned to Ray. "All of you men are the same. Play with the girl's emotions, get her hopes up, lead her on, and worst of all, Ray, show off your whore of a girlfriend to the one person who loved you the most." I shook my head at him as I brought the saw next to his legs. "You know, Ray, if I can't have you, no one can," I had said to him as I began to saw him apart. I basked and relished as I killed him, and then threw his body parts into the tub as well and washed off as much blood as I could. Then I wrapped all the parts in a huge tarp. I cleaned up all the blood as well. I dragged the tarp to the car and put it in the truck. I drove to a huge lake and pushed the tarp far into the lake and watched as it sank into the icy cold waters. I knew I would not be able to stay in this town or state for as long as I had in Texas. I went home and packed up. I made sure I cleaned everything, fingerprints and all. Then I packed up and left. It looked like no one had lived in that apartment for years. I would have to change my name and appearance again. I knew how to do it because this would not be so hard for me to do, since this had not been the first time I killed someone who played with my heart, and nor would it be the last time either. Love can be a very dangerous game to play, especially if you don't know you are in the game. Be careful of who you attract. It might just turn deadly. Thank you for listening to Bewitched, Bewildered, and Murdered.